Thanks to Adrian Peterson, we're having a conversation nationally about child abuse, spanking, use whichever term you want. That's sort of what the debate is about.
Corporal punishment.
Corporal punishment, we will say. Now, Sean Hannity has been having that debate both on his radio program and on Fox News on his TV program. He is concerned about it as well, but he's concerned about it for slightly different reasons than we probably are here at TYT. We've got a couple of clips for you. Here is the first.
I got hit with a strap. Bam, bam, bam. And I've never been to a shrink by my father. I would tell you that I deserved it.
This guy took it to an extreme. His child had welts on his body.
I had welts when my father hit me in the legs with his belt.
I got hit all the time too, but we really have a new parenting consciousness now.
Oh
and
my
since
God.
the 1960s, there's
God.
been a decrease because it doesn't work. It does because corporal punishment
I don't
doesn't
hit my
work.
kids, but I don't have to. I take their iPhone away. It works perfectly.
That is the biggest desk I've ever seen in my life, I think. But I also love how openly dismissive he is of his guests if they don't agree with him. Oh, come on, come on, come on.
As if we could progress at all. As if parenting could change even slightly.
Yeah.
That we could learn things that didn't work previously. You know, when you talk about progressives and conservatives, that is it right there. You have a doctor on Fox News, a psychologist or psychiatrist, I didn't catch what she was, saying that, you know, but that's, we have different parenting norms now. Or different, and we do. Oh no, we parent exactly the same way we did in 1742.
Yeah.
You know.
You've got your longitudinal studies of 7,000 families in 32 different countries. I got punched in the face, and I think that I'm great.
Right, right.
So that we started with that obviously because that's the funniest part. I mean, he talks about the fact that he was beaten as a kid and he's never been to a shrink, and he's totally fine. I think that all of us could come up with explanations for why we don't think he's totally fine. He's obviously a massive bully. That is what we say it produces. If you beat your kid, it's more likely that they will use violence or force in the future. He uses the cable news equivalent of force on his guests every single night.
Yeah, and he is a walking, sitting, talking example of exactly why you should not have corporal punishment. I mean, if he say, hey, it worked on me. No, it didn't. It didn't. It was a disaster if this is how you turned out. So I think that unquestionably, he gave the best talk about why this is bad.
Yeah, well, he's actually going to do even better. So we're saying here that if a kid is beaten, he's more likely to resort to force in the future. He has just been disagreed with. Let's play the second video and see how he responds to that.
All the people that have used switches over the years and used belts, what are we going to arrest them all? We're going to arrest everybody that's ever hit their kid?
But it's a changing time, and those people, did your dad stick leaves in your mouth like Adrian Peterson?
My father punched me in the face when I talked back to him once, and I deserved it.
Hit me with it.
No, I got it like this.
Yeah.
And I deserved it. I was a trouble kid.
You know what? There's a standard now, and if it goes beyond the pale and it's not reasonable, that's when the felony charges step in, and that's
so
why
you
the
could do
grand jury
it. So a
indicted
switch is always wrong in your view?
Yes.
You should arrest every parent that uses a switch.
I would have circumstances, but if
call the state.
So my father should have been arrested based on today's standards.
Maybe.
Yes.
That's nuts. I was not mentally bruised because my father hit me with a belt.
He was certainly mentally bruised.
Something bruised him mentally.
Yeah.
And
I love the
you know,
snapping.
it's an the snapping is really disturbing. It's an interesting
female
conversation
scientists.
for sure. It's an interesting conversation when he talks about the arresting and what my father should have been arrested.
Yeah.
You know, even when it comes to Adrian Peterson, I think that people are having that conversation and not really
what should the punishment be?
What should the punishment be? Because clearly, I mean, I shouldn't say clearly. It seems as if it wasn't. He did not intend to do this to his child, and that there was remorse, and that he was just practicing what he had been taught. But the point that Hannity's making is that what he was taught is right, and that is exactly how it should be done today.
Yeah.
And that's absurd. And I think Johnny made a great point, because you're saying, you know, this is exactly what breeds bullies, and this is exactly why he turns out this way. I mean, he's gleefully snapping his belt.
He thinks that's amazing. Now, look, if you study sort of the moral framework, the foundation for American conservatives and American liberals, there tend to be things that bring them together. And one of the organizing principles, the philosophical principles that most conservatives seem to agree with, is deference to authority and punishment when you do not follow authority. And so I think that's why it's such a contentious topic. When you bring up corporal punishment, it always generates a massive amount of pushback from conservatives, because they think that It's an attack on the fundamental thing that organizes the way the world works, that you're supposed to fall in line in terms of your authority, and the first authority figure for you when you enter the world is your father.
Right.
And if you do not conform to his norms, he will hit you, he will beat you, he will teach you how you're wrong. And so I think they think that if they lose that, then there will be a lot less conservative people who don't have it drilled into them, sometimes literally, that this is how you function.
And this is what makes this guy so dangerous, is exactly what you're talking about. Because, you know, listen, he's saying on television, on the radio, on television, and he's got a lot of listeners, whether we think he's nuts, and we do, he's got a lot of people who listen to him. He's saying, my father punched me in the face once, and I deserved it. So that means that there is a child in Sean Hannity's mind today who deserves to be punched in the face by his father.
Yeah.
That's absurd.
Yeah.
That's crazy, and it's
Stockholm
really
syndrome.
dangerous.
Yeah, exactly. I mean, he's obviously got lingering damage. I don't know what he does with his kids. I don't even know if he has kids. I don't know.
He
if
does. He takes their iPads away.
Oh, that's true. He does. Yeah. I mean, I don't know if it's just that maybe like a couple times a year he has to pay a woman to spank him or something, but it has left some sort of damage in him. And I alluded earlier to these long-term studies that have recently come out. There's books, I believe the Primordial Violence is the book's name, about this massive study in 33 different countries about corporal punishment. And they looked at the kids long-term, and they found that corporal punishment slows cognitive development, increases the likelihood of problems in school and higher education later on, makes it more likely for you to commit crime, including violent crime, and also makes you more likely to resort to force both against strangers and against intimate partners and children. It is literally the beginning, when you are hit, of a cycle of violence that you can then visit upon the people that you're with, your children, all of that. Now, beyond just the beating part, Hannity does take it a little bit wider, I guess. He's concerned about what corporal punishment has to do with gays in America. Sort of weird, but let's listen to him.
I got to tell you, this is my problem with liberals, because here's where my fear goes with all of this. You guys want to tell parents what they can and cannot do. For example, is it going to become illegal if a parent teaches the politically correct view that being gay is not normal?
Yep.
Or if a parent says that, whatever the parent wants to teach a kid that you would disagree with.
I think that he has a warped sense of what politically correct is. Exactly. Listen, I think the guy's a crazy, dangerous guy. I think that he's not funny. I don't think he's engaging. I think he's totally dangerous. And I think he's dangerous because he says things snidely that people take seriously because he has an audience, and that audience listens to him. Yeah. So there are a lot of people whose corporal punishment is endorsed by this fool, and it's done daily, during this conversation anyway. So that's what I think about it, and I think that people have to be aware of the fact that this is not normal. And the numbers that John just read you, those studies, they're real. 33 different countries. What does it produce? That's what it produces. Do you feel like, my kids drive me crazy? I mean, he's endorsing not just doing it, he's saying it's okay to have the impulse to do it.
Yeah.
That's the right impulse when you're parenting, is to do that. But I don't have to hit them anymore. I just take their iPad away.
Yeah.
Take iPads away. Don't hit.
Yeah.
And
especially don't hit them with the iPad. It's valuable.
Right. Well, he wouldn't then, because
exactly that would be a punishment for him. The final point that I want to make about this is I think that it was summed up very well by a philosopher. His name is Louis C.K. And he said that it's very weird that in our society today, if you see somebody hit a dog, that person could go to jail. Michael Vick's career was ruined, at least temporarily, because he hit dogs or caused violence to dogs. If you hit your spouse, a full-grown adult, a woman or a man, you could go to jail. You could lose your job. That's happening in the NFL as well. But a group that is by far less capable of defending itself, who doesn't have the psychological or emotional wherewithal to understand the context of what's happening, it is perfectly fine to hit a child.
Right.
You can't hit your dog, you can't hit your wife, but you can beat the hell out of a kid, and they think that it is not only acceptable, but that it produces better humans.